Negative by nature. Now, I always wonder why positivity is so elusive to me and something that quite literally has to be forced. Like, it's not something I can just let myself go on autopilot and do what I do. To have any inkling of positivity in my brain, it is something that has to be forced in there. It is so natural to see things in very dark ways for me. Ways that, if left to their own devices, will cause me unhappiness. And they are things that I am naturally drawn towards. The comfort zones, if you will. But even when it comes to doing things in life, if I am doing something for someone else, I feel a motivation that is not there if I'm just doing it for myself. And I've never been able to figure this out. Like, the most I can do is lie to myself and other people and say I do feel it when I know damn well that I don't. And through sheer force of will, I can make myself do a lot of things, I have found. But it is an exercise sheerly in will. There isn't the motivation I feel when I'm doing something for someone else. Like, then I want to do it. Even if what I'm doing is slogging through unhappiness, I am happy to go through that unhappiness because it shows I care. Like, dealing, in fact, the more miserable the situation, the happier I am to deal with it because it shows the person that I care. This is a terrible mentality as well. Uh, Other people will not appreciate it, and it will cause you ultimately to start resenting them. Uh, or at least that's what I have found is the natural human condition. When someone takes on a burden they don't have to over and over for someone else, it will inspire resent. The only way you can do that is if you are just happy taking shit for the rest of your life. If you're happy in a situation where you're given 110% and the other person is given like 20 or 30, you know, I mean, people gotta people, right? You gotta do what you do. But that is what I now, unfortunately, in many situations, I am happy just suffering. As long as there is like some affection, I am fine with it because in normal life, especially upbringing, affection and caring didn't exist. So any situation where there's any is seen as an improvement. A situation where I'm miserable 50% of the time and getting some kind of affection the other 50%, that's a deal in my eyes. But this is an unhealthy mindset, I'm told. Once again, I'm told. I can't envision it that way because what I know is so naturally unhealthy. But how can I phrase this? I've never been able to wrap my hands around positivity. I've never been able to get handles on it. And that is somewhat troubling to me. Like, I'm not sure if I made the comparison or not, but I frequently do. That positivity is like a hedge animal. It has to constantly be pruned and maintained. And if not, it starts to lose its shape almost immediately, and then it will just be a bush. And that is like my thought with positivity. If not constantly pruned and maintained, and negative thoughts are not constantly consciously taken out of my thought patterns, then they will go back to being their just negative self. I always thought something would happen that would change this. Like somewhere along the line, there would be some kind of epiphany and it would change the way I feel about myself. But that's never happened, and it's getting pretty late in the game. So, desperate times call for desperate measures. But the only thing I can do is force it through sheer will. And that is the situation that I am in currently. Is the only thing I can do is force positivity down my throat. And there's a danger in that. Like, it's one of the reasons I don't watch TV or listen to the radio, is because I am not in control of what I am watching. It is just slinging shit at me, and it's how I interpret that shit that's going to go into my brain, and that's going to be the world I see. On YouTube, there is a little more control, I mean, but with the dominance of the all powerful algorithm, it's something I have to constantly select. Do not recommend channel, do not recommend channel, do not recommend channel. Because if I make a mistake and watch one thing about crime, it is going to sling a non stop stream of violence and sexual deviance at my mind. And I try not to let that stuff in because it's not even that I like it, but there's a comfort zone in it. I am familiar with that kind of stuff. It is where I tend to dwell in things. And even though have, I wouldn't say I like negativity, I'm quite resentful of it. I have almost like a juvenile optimism towards things. But that then gets put through this lens, which what I in myself would call reality, but it's not reality. It's a coping mechanism, a way of dealing with the world. How can I say this? The other day at work, I was having a panic attack, and this actually coincides a lot with my idea that I need to learn to express emotions and actually experience feelings. So I'm at work and I'm having a panic attack, and I feel like my heart's about to explode, like I'm about to die, and I'm certain I'm about to die. And I look in the bathroom mirror, and you could not tell anything is wrong with me. You could not tell I am under any kind of stress. I look completely normal. I'm like, this is probably an issue. Like, you feel like you're about to die and you show nothing. No one could tell anything is wrong. Like, ooh, that's concerning. Like, I've never seen it that way before. In fact, that was a desirable thing. The ability to completely mask what I feel was always seen as ideal. It rhymed. The ability to mask what I feel was seen as beneficial. So, that was always seen as a good thing, dare I say a positive thing. And that is part of the lens of which I speak, this ability to mask anything that developed over the years. In fact, I remember when I was 12 or 13 years old, there was an episode of The X Files playing in the background, and I was fucking hammered. And I was going out to do something illegal. I don't remember what, but it was like petty kid shit that I was just being encouraged to do, or paid to do, or forced to do, or something like that. But in that episode of The X Files, they said something that aligns perfectly with what I thought. And that is, a person that has nothing to lose. And they become a very dangerous enemy because they have nothing. And if you look in my apartment, it's fucking empty. Like there's nothing on the walls. The furniture isn't like it's stuff people have given me, but I don't care about it. Like there's a lot of clothes and junk, but I don't care about any of them. They were all free shit anyway. Like none of it. Like there's very few things that matter to me, and this is no way to live, but I don't know how to live any other way. Like, I don't know how to make myself care about these things. And I, in fact, am trying to do that. But the negativity by nature, it's unnatural to be positive, and it is a constant effort. I'm not sure what kind of like resolution even I can offer here. Like it is my nature to be negative, and to be any other way requires tremendous force. And like I think it kind of says something like that the way I value myself versus other people. Like, I hold myself to have no value. That is why I dislike doing things for myself or find no purpose in it. But if I'm doing something for myself that someone else wants me to do, like especially a love interest or something along those lines, then I am happy to do it because I am doing it for her. Like that's an unhealthy position to maintain. And it frankly is untenable, and you shouldn't, like, well, I shouldn't put someone else in that position. Like it's the same thing with the big relationship I had where like having her in control of everything, I think it did a disservice to her. Like, and even though that idea is naturally appealing to me to be in the position of serving her, like that is where I generally see in relationships is my job is to serve. I think that does a disservice to the other person. Like I am letting them down in fundamental ways. But then I am also predisposed to seeing things negatively, so who knows? The world's a tricky place. But my basic point is as far as I know, positivity must be forced. I don't know any other way to put it. And that is what I'm doing right now with my whole experiment of finding ways to express emotion. I don't know how to do that either, but I'm sure it's something that has to be forced and will not come naturally. Largely because I have come to see masking everything as some kind of beneficial trait. My ability to completely hide everything about myself. And like it's weird because I'll talk about a lot of things and a lot of things other people wouldn't talk about and would be, troubled quite frankly by. I have no issue discussing. It doesn't matter to me at all. But actually showing any type of emotion or whatever, well, that's another animal, isn't it? I don't know. Take it for what it's worth, I guess.